Welcome back to the Dr. Williams podcast. If this is your first time here, then I'm glad to have you. Welcome. I want to talk about something today that's been gnawing at me. In particular, been gnawing at me since I've been podcasting. Because if you've listened to my intro for season 1, and now with this season, if it's a season, I don't even know what I'm going to call it a season, it's just me recording now. In the intro, I list off some things that we all go through as humans in life. And one thing that I list that I haven't talked about is grief. So every time I hear that intro, I'm like, oh, I really need to talk about grief. I said I was going to talk about it. It's in my intro, and I haven't touched on it. And so I always knew that I would, but I didn't know exactly how I was going to touch on grief or when it was going to come up in my own life to where then I talk about it with you. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, there is no intro. There's no outro. There's no intro because this year is about ease, and me trying to figure out how to do all that was harder than it was worth. So if you're listening on a podcast platform, the intro's there. But if you're on YouTube, it's not. Before I forget, if you would like to support the show, please subscribe. And if you want to leave a rating and a review on your podcast platform, that helps me out a lot. And if you want to just get back to me and kind of tell me what you like or what you'd like to see on the podcast, I'm all ears. That's one thing about being a therapist. I'm good at listening. Not as good at talking, but getting better at talking. Podcasting helps. So, grief. I want to talk about grief, but in kind of a different way than I thought I would. I want to talk about a particular aspect of grief that I've been really aware of lately, and that is anticipatory grief. I've been experiencing a lot of anticipatory grief, acute and also more general. But as I've gotten older, I've started thinking about, the other people that are aging in my life that I'm eventually going to have to deal with when the loss of them when they die. All of my parents are still alive. I'm very, very grateful for that. I say all of them because I have 2 sets. And so I think about that from time to time. What's my life going to be like when I don't have my parents anymore? But the acute anticipatory grief that I've been experiencing lately is because of Roxy. Roxy is one of my 4 cats. And when we do the math, she was John's cat first. So he got her the year he bought his first house. And so we figured out she's 18. So she's up there. And she and I have a very special bond. She's a very special spirit. She's sentient, she is a healer, and she's in tune in a way that all animals are in tune, but it's something more. It's something spiritual where she's here to do some work, and she does it. And she does it with whoever is around. You could come to my house for the first time, and Roxy will just jump right up next to you, and she'll purr, and she'll be present. She's not skittish at all. And her presence is really nurturing and just sweet, unless you're asking my mom. My mom's afraid of her. My mom has a little bit of a fear of cats, but she's mostly afraid of Roxy because Roxy, she likes feet, and she will come and rub on your feet and nibble on them, and my mom doesn't like that. But she also likes shoes, so she has a bit of a foot fetish, this cat. But anyway, she's getting older, and I've noticed that she's getting thin, and she's not jumping up on the things that she used to jump up on. She's getting to that point in her life where I'm noticing a decline. And recently I noticed that she was drinking a lot of water. Like she was really thirsty. And I noticed that the third eyelid, have you noticed how cats have that inner eyelid? It's kind of shiny, kind of silvery. It wasn't retracting the way that it used to. So I made a vet appointment for her. Now, she has been so healthy that she hadn't been to the vet. When did they say? It was like something ridiculous, like 2015 or 20, I don't know. It was a long time ago. And they were surprised to see her, and they were like, wow, we haven't seen her in a long time. I said, well, she's been really healthy. Like there's been no reason to bring her in. I'm not a regular take your animals in to get vaccines and stuff person. I'm just not. I don't feel like they need that. That hasn't been my experience that they do. All my cats are indoor outdoor. They live long, healthy, happy lives. So that's my stance on that. No judgment if you do it a different way. We all got to do what we think is best. So I took her into the vet, and I knew we were going to have to do a blood panel, which, if any of you have gone to the vet lately, you know is expensive. So I was geared up for hundreds of dollars at the vet and embraced it. And I even told John, I said, I know you probably don't want to do this, because we had been in and out of the vet a lot when this happened. Just a series of things, getting Gus neutered and getting Ember spayed, and Sonny had to go in for his skin issues. So it was just a lot all at once. And another vet appointment was like the last thing that we wanted. So I told him, I said, I know you're not going to want to do this, but we owe it to her. She has been the healthiest animal we've had, and I'm noticing these things, and I want to get her checked out. And of course, he was fine with it. So I take her in, and they do all the blood work on her. And I'm anticipating somewhat bad news. Based on the research that I had done, looking up thirst in cats and the third eye or third eyelid retracting, and all the symptoms I was noticing in her, plus her age, it wasn't looking good. It was looking like maybe kidneys were going to be an issue. And then I take her to the vet, explain everything, we talk about it when they're taking the blood and all of that. And they said the same thing. They said, well, with her age, it's probably kidney failure or the beginning of it. So we all were kind of expecting that. And I get a call from the vet that same day in the evening, and she is shocked. She said, I cannot believe her blood work. It's nearly perfect. Aside from the heart murmur that she has, which was discovered at the vet appointment. She said she does have a slight heart murmur, and so she wanted her to take like a half tab of aspirin every 3 days. Besides the heart murmur, though, her blood work was great. She said, maybe a little low in her kidneys, but nothing to even do anything about. She was amazed that she was as healthy as she was. And I was like, great. That's great news. I've always said that I wouldn't be surprised if Sonny, he's my orange scaredy cat. He's always been on the anxious side. I wouldn't be surprised if he went before Roxy, because she's just, I don't know. She's centered. She has this centered about her, and she's, an indoor girl. She used to be quite the huntress, but she's happy to just lay around. She takes care of herself. She's not hard on herself. She doesn't go out fighting and climbing trees and stuff. Like, she's just lived a very life of luxury kind of life, where she hangs out, and and she's been healthy. So I was glad, to hear that she was doing so well, but I can't help but still feel like it's coming. She is 18. She is getting thin. I can feel her spine. And she's always with me. She is the one animal that is with me the most. If I'm sitting, she wants to be with me. if I go lay down, she's with me. Like I go to read the boys a book in the evening, she comes and she curls up on my legs while I read to them. She just wants to be with me. So as I anticipate the end of her life, I'm starting to well up just thinking about it. I grieve. I'm already grieving the loss of her while she's here. And we do that with humans too, don't we? I have started doing it when considering my parents. And sometimes I cry, sometimes I grieve. I grieve that loss, even though it's not here yet. But I still know it's going to be a major impact on me. I don't have to have it be my reality in order for me to line up with how it's going to feel. And I can experience that now, even though it's not the case. So I just wanted to talk about how it's a gift. If you talk to anybody who has taken care of somebody at the end of their life, whether it's their parent, their guardian, an uncle, an aunt, a grandparent, anybody who that person is to them, they will tell you how hard it is, that it's extremely difficult going through that with somebody, supporting them and caring for them. And much like having a newborn, sleepless nights, loss of memory, and it's difficult. It's hard. And sometimes it's the hardest thing that somebody goes through. But usually they'll also tell you that they're grateful for it because they have the opportunity for anticipating the death, anticipating that transition into a life that they don't yet know, but they can kind of understand and align with how it's going to be. And it allows the grief process to begin early. And a lot of times, in very extreme cases where it's very, very difficult, it allows the person to align with letting them go intentionally. They start to anticipate, I'm ready to see them go. I'm ready for them to not be in pain anymore. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for them to be ready. And that really is a beautiful thing, isn't it? Because we get to embrace it and not fear it. We start to align with that spiritual transformation time where they're going from this physical realm back into the spirit realm. And it doesn't impact in such a negative way, whereas if somebody dies suddenly, you get to align with it. You get that time. You get to say the things you want to say. You get to love them more deeply and with greater intention than you had before. We all get busy in our lives, and we tend to neglect our relationship in some aspect. But when we know there's impending death, it changes us, doesn't it? It allows us to be different with that individual. I recently was talking to a therapist, and I kind of went over my own spiritual journey and my awakening, and how becoming a mother took a lot out of me. And I really lost myself in a lot of ways because I was so engulfed in caring for my kids and taking care of everybody's needs that I had to intentionally get back to caring for myself. And part of my spiritual journey was sitting with myself and loving myself and allowing myself to come back to knowing who I am. Oh, I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, where was I going with that? This is where it would be nice that it was a conversation, with someone else to tell me, well, you were talking about this, and trigger what I was going to say. Dang it, give me a second here. This is when I had to stop recording and go back and watch the video so that I could remember where I was going with my thoughts. And then I started recording again. But I didn't say that in the next recording, so just to let you know, that's what happened. Okay, here's the rest, following up on where I was going with my thought. So that process of raising young children put me in a state of not taking as good a care of the animals. I mean, I met their needs. I made sure they were fed and had water and, all of their basic needs. I made sure that they were taken care of. But I didn't love them in the way where I enjoyed their company. I didn't necessarily want animals on me. I was overstimulated. So I was telling this therapist how things have changed for me in the past 2 years, and I fell back in love with my pets. I enjoy them again. I seek them out. Sometimes you can find me carrying Roxy around like a baby because she just wants to be with me. And if I'm sitting, it's not a big deal. She's on my lap. But if I have things to do, she'll get down and she'll come with me and follow me around. So sometimes I just pick her up and I carry her around like a little baby and till I can sit back down and pet her again. And it's okay. It's not a burden because it's special. This time is special. And I know that when she does go, I'm going to miss her a lot. I'm going to miss her a lot. But I'm going to be really glad that I took the time to be close with her as I go through this anticipatory grief. It's part of the grieving process. Has already started. I'm already grieving her loss. And it helps me to appreciate the time I have with her more. And that's what people say when they take care of an elderly human family member, that they're glad they had that time. A good friend of mine, she took care of her mom at the end of her life, and they had a tumultuous relationship. We had met when we were young, 15, and I saw a lot of it, growing up. But I was talking to her, and she was not really looking forward to having her mom live with her. And I told her, I said, I don't think you're going to regret this time. This is not the time to hash up things from the past, but to let them go. And if you do that, it's not just a gift for her, it's you giving a gift to yourself, because it'll allow you to resolve those negative feelings and allow you to step into missing her when she is gone. A lot of times people struggle with that when they haven't had a very loving relationship with one of their parents. They err on the side of anger and never truly grieve. And grief is incredibly important. And, everybody says everybody grieves in their own way. Well, yes, we're all individuals. We all kind of do everything in our own way. But grief has some specific aspects to it. It's sadness. It has anger too. But if you just hang out at anger and you don't ever touch on that sad part, the loss part, can it really be considered grief? I'm asking you. You tell me. What do you think? If somebody's just angry after losing somebody and they never progress further in that emotional stance, they stay in anger, do you feel like grief has gone through the process? Has that person processed through grief? I tend to believe no. I think that there has to be sadness. Grief is sadness. But also, loss is not really loss, at least when you understand things from a spiritual perspective, when you know that nobody's ever really gone. I still feel Kai, my dog, and Max, our cat that died a few years ago. They're still here, but it's different. I think what you're grieving is that loss of physicality. It's so special, this life that we live, in this physical life where we get to enjoy the senses of being a human and connecting through those senses with another being. And it's so special that we always feel that as loss. It's not there anymore. And it can ease your pain to understand that spiritually you're still connected and you can still tune into that being, but it's okay to just feel the loss that you have in relation to that physical connection. Okay, I think that's probably enough on this topic of anticipatory grief. But I'm glad we talked about it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts if you'd like to share them with me. The greatest losses we usually experience in this life is the loss of other humans. But those who have loved and lost animals know that that is a family member. And in a lot of ways, that grief can go deeper because it's a different level of unconditional love. Well, not even that it's a different level, but it is a form of unconditional love that can be hard to achieve in humans and our relationships that we have with humans. We often say that we love somebody unconditionally, but if you dig a little bit, you usually find some kind of factor that is a condition of your love with a person. We expect a lot out of our relationships with other humans. But our animals, they don't hold us to that, do they? They just love us. And even if we get upset with them, we get over it and love them again. And it makes for a really special point of learning about love through our pets. I'm going to miss Roxy. I'm going to miss all of our pets when they're gone. And now that we have Gus, I didn't want to get another dog because losing Kai was big for me. But the joy that they bring is unlike anything. It's unlike anything else. And I'm grateful to have each and every one of them. And I wouldn't give it up. So that's all for now. Until next time.